Do you have fear? Fear of losing, fear of the future, fear of truly surrendering yourself to God. St. John Paul II opened his pontificate with a cry that still echoes today. Do not be afraid. Open wide the doors to Christ. These words were not just poetic. They were the fruit of a life marked by war, dictatorship, and ideologies that tried to erase the faith. He knew well that fear closes, paralyzes, enslaves. But he also knew that Christ liberates, and so he dared to proclaim to the entire world, do not be afraid to give everything to Jesus. And you? How many times does fear dictate your choices? How often do you avoid living fully, surrendering completely, because you fear what you might lose? John Paul II reminded us, man cannot live without love. He remains a being that is incomprehensible to himself if he does not encounter love. This is the key, love. Not love reduced to sentiment or pleasure, but love as sacrifice, as fidelity, as self-gift. Only love explains life. Only love gives meaning to suffering. Only love casts out fear. He said, do not be afraid to be saints. Yes, saints. Holiness is not a privilege for a few, but the destiny of all. Again and again, he repeated that holiness is the ordinary path of every Christian, the true vocation of every baptized soul. Perhaps you think, but I am too weak, too small, too limited. He himself responded to this. Human weakness is encompassed by the strength of God. You do not walk alone. Grace is greater than your limitations. And if life has given you heavy crosses, remember his words. Suffering, more than anything else, makes present in the history of humanity the force of the redemption. He carried a visible cross in his final years. His body weakened, his speech strained, his steps faltering. Yet, he transformed his frailty into a gospel. His weakness became strength. His silence became preaching. His illness became a witness of love stronger than pain. And you? What do you do with your cross? Do you run, complain, or offer it? John Paul II shows us, the cross is not the end, but the path toward resurrection. He also said, the future starts today, not tomorrow. How many postpone their conversion, waiting for a better season, another phase of life, a more convenient time? But there is no other time than today. Tomorrow may never come. The time of grace is now. And you, what are you leaving for later? What forgiveness? What reconciliation? What act of surrender are you still postponing? John Paul II reminds you, today is the day of salvation. He also insisted, man cannot fully understand himself without Christ. How often we seek identity in passing things, status, appearance, possessions, but all of this fades. Only Christ reveals man to himself. Only Christ shows you who you really are. Maybe you feel lost, without direction. Then listen, open the doors to Christ. He will not take anything away from you, but he will give you everything. John Paul II spoke directly to the hearts of the young. Again and again he repeated, do not be afraid. Take Christ to the world. At every World Youth Day, his call resounded. Courage, faith, testimony. The world does not need timid Christians, but men and women who live their faith without shame. He said, do not be ashamed of the gospel. Have you hidden your faith out of fear of judgment? The gospel is not weakness, but power. Do not hide the light. He also taught us the meaning of true freedom. Freedom consists not in doing what we like, but in having the right to do what we ought. True freedom is not following every whim, but choosing the good. It is not self-indulgence, but responsibility. Not escape, but fidelity. And you? Do you live as a slave to your desires, or as free in Christ? John Paul II calls you, live true freedom, the freedom born of obedience to love. But his voice was also prophetic in defense of life. He proclaimed with force, human life is sacred and inviolable. In a world where life is despised, from the unborn to the elderly, his words remain a fire. Every life is a gift. Every human being is loved. Every person is unrepeatable. And you? How have you treated life? Do you defend its dignity or allow yourself to be led by a culture of disposal? John Paul II reminds us, life is not merchandise, not an object, not expendable. Life is sacred. He also repeated with conviction, the future of humanity passes by way of the family. Yes, because the family is the cradle of life, the school of love, the foundation of society. A world that destroys the family destroys itself. A church that strengthens the family builds hope. And what about your family? Is it a place of prayer, love, and fidelity? Or only of exhaustion, division, and passing encounters? John Paul II calls you, return to the family, pray in the family, sanctify the family, defend the family. There lies the seed of the future. His wisdom illuminated not only faith, but also reason. He taught, faith and reason are like two wings on which the human spirit rises to the contemplation of truth. Do not be afraid to think. Do not be afraid to study. Do not be afraid to seek truth. Faith is not the enemy of reason, nor is reason opposed to faith. The two rise together, carrying the human spirit toward God. Today, we live in a world often split. Faith without reason, reason without faith. John Paul II shows us the harmony. Both wings are needed to fly. And you? Have you used your mind to approach God or to run from Him? At the end of it all, His secret was simple. Totus Tuus, totally yours. His motto, His consecration, His surrender to Mary in order to belong entirely to Christ. This was His strength. This was His anchor. This was His way. And this is the invitation for you, to be totally God's. Not partially, not with reservations, not calculating, entirely, totally, through Mary to Christ. Time is short. Life passes. Only what you give in love will remain. St. John Paul II continues to echo today. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid of Christ. Do not be afraid of the cross. Do not be afraid of holiness. Open the doors. Decide. Live. The world needs courageous witnesses. The world needs strong families. The world needs fearless youth. The world needs saints. The world needs you. Subscribe and discover the beauty of the Catholic faith.